Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again with another comic book review. And today we'll be talking about the 5 issue story arc of Moon Knight. Something I've been wanting to do for a minute. And uh honestly, because this came out around like 2016, and this is the point when I figured I'd get into Moon Knight, because at this point in time it was only rumors, because after the success with like the Netflix shows and everything like that with Daredevil, Moon Knight was on the table. So I figured I want to get the jump on it and try to soak up more information about Moon Knight, because uh I mean, I only was unlike Guardians of the Galaxy, I at least knew who Moon Knight was to some extent, because he was always been touted as Marvel's Batman, and it might be the same for a few other characters as uh Marvel's Batman. One second. Oh, I was looking at these little emotes. Okay, sorry about that. That never showed up before. Anyway, only gonna it was like a lot of issues. I mean, this carried on for quite a bit of time before it ended. I'm only gonna cover like the first 5, because that was a pretty solid story. Everything else after that, excuse me, everything else after that, I wouldn't say it's hit and miss, but is some gems to it. Hey Daniel, just talking about some Moon Knight, because I want to at least get the jump on it before anybody else, because we know Oscar Isaac, I believe, who's going to be playing Moon Knight in the MCU within like a year or so. I'm not sure if they're in production as we speak. I think they are, maybe, but we probably won't hear anything about Moon Knight maybe until like another year, maybe. But I want to like get a jump on this story, because it's like a solid, this 5 issue arc is a solid Moon Knight story. If you want to, you know, understand Moon Knight, I think uh, Moon Knight issue 1 through 5, made in 2016. Writer Jeff Lemire and artist Greg Smallwood. Now, this is gonna be full of spoilers, but I highly recommend you check this out if you want to start getting to some Moon Knight, and so that way you can familiarize yourself. And when the movie come out, or I don't know if sure it's like a movie or a TV show, but whenever it does come out, you'll be a little more wiser of who Moon Knight is. Now, keep in mind, this is one of the few Marvel characters, like Deadpool, is technically insane, despite being a good guy. Uh, he has DID, dissociative identity disorder, which means he has split personality. It's kind of like the movie Split with James McAvoy. It's similar to that scenario, except, well, yeah, it's also in his head, but sometimes he dresses up as his personas. He has like a business personalities, like, because he's by and large a rich dude, but he has a personality that's all about like his business dealings. A personality, there's a cab driver, his Moon Knight personality, and the Mark Spector Prime personality. Might be missing something else, but I can't think of it. But I don't think so. But if y'all watching this on YouTube in the future, correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason why I'm slightly familiar with Moon Knight, even before 2016 when I read this, I recall that his personalities, instead of being him in different formats, he had like split personality of different heroes that he emulates. Like, because I definitely recall him like hallucinating, talking with like Spider-Man and embodying his personality. Same thing with Wolverine and Captain America. I know I'm not wrong. I just cannot pull up the. I gotta look up the issue, or at least images of of certain scenarios way back in the day when he did that. Before, I'm not sure when they changed that up to make it his own visage, just in different forms. But anyway, welcome to New Egypt, issue number 1. Now, Mark Spector wakes up. It's kind of like just almost like a movie, which his business personality is involved in the movie business, ironically enough. But it kind of reminds me of like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest a bit, where he just wakes up in an asylum, not knowing exactly where he is or how he got there. Well, he knows where he is. We just don't know how he got there. His own mind is kind of like foggy. And he, of course, little known fact, you know, Moon Knight, the way he got his, well, not powers, but he took on the symbol of the moon god of Egypt, Khonshu, who, if you look it up, is supposed to be like a brother of, kind of like stepbrother of Bast, who is the god of Wakanda. I don't know what expert about this series, so I'm gonna stay a little and then I finish the video as YouTube. Oh yeah, no problem, man. I mean, you can definitely look up on YouTube about like Moon Knight and his origins. I'm just gonna briefly cover his origins right here. He I'm paraphrasing, but he was kind of like a not like a grave robber, but it's kind of like, if you ever seen the Mummy movie with Brendan Fraser, he was kind of like an adventurer or something like that. He went to Egypt. He, you know, he got in a tussle with some like bandits or whomever, died technically, and he was at the altar of Khonshu, the moon god of Egypt. He raised them from the dead to be his vessel on Earth, and he used that his vast wealth to do the whole Batman thing and, you know, wage war on crime. But at some point, he lost his mind and gained a split personality. But if you want further details, you can easily look it up. But I'm just giving like the broad strokes here. But in recent Avengers comics, in the past, I say, couple of months ago, they the Avengers was fighting against Khonshu, and even before that, way before that, Mark Spector, you know, talked with Thor at some point. I remember the conversation. I just can't remember what like issue and, you know, where the context was it, but he talked to Thor about Khonshu, and Thor looked at him and was like, I'm the god of thunder. I've seen many gods, met many gods, and I never heard anybody named Khonshu before. Which shocked Mark, because like, what do you mean you never heard of Khonshu? He's like a different god. If you met many gods, how you not met him? But it kind of leads into, if you read, you know, Avengers issue, like, you know, a couple of months ago at this point, they have actually fought Khonshu, who was trying to take over New York, you know, and then Mark used the Phoenix Force, spoiler alert, to finally defeat him. And where his adventure after that point will remain unknown until a certain point when another writer takes up the, you know, Moon Knight stories. Anyway, he's in an asylum. He's, you know, having like waking nightmares of his past exploits, and like he's hassled by constantly by these very, it's kind of like very old school like movie trope of when you're dealing with an insane asylum, there's always like evil orderlies, and there's two of them, get this name, Billy and Bob. Billy Bob, one black guy with a afro, and then a white guy looks like something straight out of the 70s. Well, they both look like something straight out of the 70s. And they beat him up, douse him with I'm not sure if it was morphine or just a sedative, just to get him to sleep, because it's the middle of the night, he's waking up screaming. Instead of helping him, they just beat him up, drug him, and so they can go about their day with some peace and quiet. They also like constantly put not only him but a lot of patients in like those shock therapy things, but it's completely well, it's obviously unethical, but completely outside the bounds of procedures, when the natural procedures when giving somebody electric shock therapy, which I don't think anybody still do anymore. But if you think people still do that, please let me know in the comments in the future. But he's out of it. He's in that little have you ever played the Telltale Batman games, when he's in the asylum and he's in that little waiting space where they usually watch TV, and they sit in those sofas and just shuffle along? He's in those kind of areas. I don't know what you call those, but he bumps into familiar faces, people that he normally were his allies in the past, and they are somehow in here too. He runs into one of his friends, Crowley, this old man who seems to be the only one who knows what's going on, and filling Mark in so he can start filling in the gaps. Then he talks to this therapist, at least the head doctor here, named Dr. Emmett, who trying to convince him that he's been here since he was a preteen, and she spent the longest time trying to purge him of this Moon Knight fixation, because she believes, or she's trying to tell him, that he's fantasizing and thinking he's the Moon Knight, which he sees on the TV monitors, Moon Knight on ventures and everything like that, fighting bad guys, and he trying to figure out. It's kind of like the Batman animated series, the Mad Hatter episode, Per Chance to Dream. It's kind of like that, where he knows he's Moon Knight, but for some reason he is here in the hospital locked up, while somebody is out there in his Moon Knight costume fighting bad guys, which is he thought that was very strange. And he's trying to tell this doctor that I am Moon Knight, I'm not supposed to be here, which she doesn't believe. Like a very old school like movie trope of like the psychiatric wards. And then she hands him these notebooks with him like all these drawings over time, with him drawing a lot of Moon Knight symbols and pictures and tons of notes, saying that he's been fabricating this fixation for years, and he's been fixated on that. But I find it strange that because she's a very young looking doctor, probably no older than maybe at the most she's maybe 40 years old at the most, but somehow she's been like teaching him, or at least trying to help him, since he was like 12 or so, and he's like probably mid-30s. Like that doesn't add up. As you read through this, you'll see, like, because I like the artwork in this. It's very cool looking. I wish I could show you more, but it's like I don't want to YouTube like how they is with certain things. So I want to start pulling up like at least some images so you can, because I did that a long time ago when I was doing my list of favorite stuff. I want to bring that back when I'm doing these comic book reviews. I figure it would be something nice to look at while I'm doing these comic reviews. But he's starting to, when he's in his bed, he's speaking with Khonshu in the middle of the night, and Khonshu convinces him to rip up his sheets and bed sheets and put on the mask persona. And because when he's like in his mind, when he puts on like the Moon Knight costume, or at least in this image that you see right here, that's how he's have like the mask on, those like a bed sheets with like I don't know if that's blood or just like something that distinct color he managed to get to draw a moon symbol on the forehead, and without the whole like leather strap things. But that's pretty much his like insane asylum costume of a Moon Knight costume. And once he put that on, he sees the true visions of Billy and Bob, where it's two jackal heads with kind of like Anubis looking heads on the bodies. So you actually see who they really are, and it proceeds to attack them in like quick fashion, because he's actually a very good martial artist. And without all those drugs in his system, he's able to actually hold his own. And then once he knocked him down, and he proceeds to, bolt out his cell, and head to the roof, where he sees New York is like covered in sand. It's kind of like if somebody dumped ancient Egypt on top of New York. And he's wondering like what the hell just happened to New York while I was gone. And then of course more Orleans came by, subdue him, remove his mask, so now he's seeing the human faces again. And he looking out on the city landscape again is okay. And it's like, okay, what the hell is going on? So then we proceed to issue number 2. So this is where he like confronts the head doctor again. And then now that he's clued in, he tells her like, your name is not Dr. Emmett, it's Amut, actually. It's kind of like the Egyptian alligator, like after you pass away, it was the god of judgment, in a sense, to judge your soul. And that's what he says she's really is, because the play on the name of Emmett is actually Amut. And he throws in her face that this is not real, this whole facility is a facade, because nobody has facilities like this anymore. So what's really going on? Like, you're not pulling the wool over my eyes anymore. I know, I've seen it. So and like as soon as she sends him away, he's just tells her like, you can't hold me forever, I will see you later, Amut. And then she gives this like scowl look back at him, and it's like, and it's hard to like going through like the 5 issues. I get to towards the end, because like there's like a part of one little con I have it, but I'm not sure if that was like a benefit or detriment. I'll get to it soon. They proceeds to give him another electroshock therapy, which kind of jolts his mind towards his inner mindscape, where he talks with the god Khonshu. And he asks Khonshu like, help me, and like I'm trapped here, I can't do anything, help me. And then because Khonshu is like a piece of work, all through like the history of Moon Knight, it's kind of like well, being like a supposed god, like all like pantheons, they're like so, separate from humanity. A lot of them just, don't have the kind of empathy, the level of empathy to understand that, they have the power, they can like do something, at least at the very least help them. But they, Khonshu in this issue just, lays into him every chance he, not every chance he get, but just like if he feels like Mark is not trying hard enough, or he's whining or anything like that, he just lays into him. But then he's telling him that what's going on is the fact that, you know his enemy Set is trying to cross over from the other side, and using vessels like Amud, the doctor, and her henchmen to do it. And he trying to, tell him, you're gonna have to deal with this and prevent that from happening, otherwise your world's done. So blah blah blah. Yeah, because says promise Amut and others their freedom, because they are trapped in their own type of prison themselves. So he charged Mark to prevent that from happening. And then once he talks to Crowley again, they formulate a plan to break out. And he runs into Frenchie, one of his other allies, who's a Frenchman. He calls him Frenchie. And I think they were like back in the day during his origins. Frenchie, his friend, was on the expedition with him in Egypt that led to his death. Of course, he also tried to get his I think his love interest Marlene, who somehow she's in here too, but they kept dousing her full of drugs. So while she's there, she's constantly passed out or catatonic, until they start getting her further away from the building. And then, of course, they handed him like his outfit, and he's got like more of like a business suit with his classic Moon Knight mask. And this is his Mr. Knight persona. You'll see in like other Moon Knight issues within 2016 on forward, where he's adopted that, at least for a short stint, that he adopted that Moon Knight, that version of Moon Knight costume is more of a business suit, where he assists the police, similar to Batman does, into tracking down criminals. A little more like a quote unquote official capacity. I like this part here where he says, we are dealing with an invasion of immortals from another dimension, and we are on the clock, people. Let's rock. And then Khonshu's whisper in his head, that's my boy. I always thought that was funny. So while he was in that mindscape, Khonshu was explaining to him, like, you made a mistake of going up to the roof. No, it wasn't Khonshu, it was Crowley. He mentions that you made a mistake of going up to the roof for your exit, but the real way out is towards the bottom, and that's where they go. They head towards the bottom of the building, or at least the base, or supposed basement area. And as soon as they get further down, the walls starting to turn into like walls that you see in Egyptian tunnels, like in like pyramids and tombs and stuff like that, where it's like holographic starting to show. And as they get past an area where it's supposedly be like a subway tunnel, there's mummies coming out of like an abandoned train, and they all try to fight him off. But that was the end of issue 2, because they now they getting suddenly swarmed by mummies. So as they took their time trying to fight them off, that's when like Amut and the jackals came down to deal with them, and you get to see her crocodile face, and it's like her hair is in like locks, and it's kind of like a traditional Egyptian hairstyle like women wore back in those times, with like those gold beads at the end. And as they, Moon Knight or Mr. Knight stays back to fight them off, as the rest of the team carries on ahead of him. So they subdue him, stick him with another sedative, so that way his mind flashes to their human visions again. And then he pretty much like injects, beats up Billy and Bob, steals the syringe, and injects Ahmad with like that sedative to knock her out, and he takes off after his friends. And he meets up with his friends, and they run into because they in another like tunnel with like all these Egyptian hieroglyphs, and they run to the Anubis, who's like a ferryman. It's kind of like what's that Greek version of him, where it's like ferry souls to like their destination in the afterlife. Carry on. But he needs payment first, which is a soul in this case. So Crowley offers his, because it feels like more it feels like the logical choice, that they got something to look forward to. They're young and everything like that. Like I have my time, and it's the least I can do so you guys can press on. So he stays behind while they, at least up to the point where Anubis leads them to the next passage to head out into like the outside. And Crowley says his goodbyes to his friends. And when they exit out, looks like it was like a sewer grate, and they're just outside of the hospital. It's like, and it feels like, and they were a little shocked because it feels like they've been traveling like for miles, like at least a good, you would think like at least 3, 4, 5 blocks, but it was just right outside as soon as they exit, and they see like these crow-like warrior men flying overhead over New Egypt, in a sense. Then issue 4, they run into this cop who more proceeds to like beat up, who looks like another crocodile person, who in a tussle bites on Frenchie's neck, cutting through the jugular, killing him. So now it's just Marlene, Mark, and another friend of theirs, what is it, Gina? Yeah, Gina. And they carry on through the sands, because they're like they really powering through like the sands that's covering like the city streets, and they puzzled to see like no people outside at all. It's just like them just walking through like this sand landscape, and they run to Gina's diner uh, for like just to rest up a bit to catch their bearings. And Gina proceeds to make them some pancakes while Mark just rests up a bit and collect himself. He goes to the bathroom and you see Khonshu sitting there in one of the stalls on the toilet and just like asking him like the fate of the world is at stake and you're sitting here eating pancakes. And Mark just fires at him like, don't give me your crap. Like, I just lost a friend I lost 2 friends back there trying to escape. And it's like, and like Khonshu was just giving like, oh, boo-hoo. Pretty much like giving him like the just giving him like the just some more crap. Like, you're gonna lose a lot more along the way. That's not gonna be helped. And then Gina, lets Mark know that Marlene's finally awake once she's got away from that building and the sedatives wore off. Then Gina proceeds to let them know she's gonna stay here because she's the only reason she left and asked Mark for help, because she wanted to see her kids again because she hasn't seen them. She's just been so isolated from everybody else, just like the rest of the team were. And so she's gonna stay there. Eventually her sons that she want to see again will eventually come to this particular diner, and she's going to be here to see them. So now it's just Marlene and Mark, the last 2 left, heading towards like this the biggest pyramid there where a set will be. So as they're about to enter, they run into a Moon Knight, and Mark and Moon Knight fight as like Moon Knight's trying to take away Marlene. So that ends up leading into the 5th issue, where Mark gets a brief upper hand and takes one of Moon Knight's moon daggers, or like it's kind of like a batarang, but like a moon orang, I guess. It's called something else, but it's pretty much like a batarang, and takes it and uses it to stab Moon Knight until Moon Knight like headbutts Mark and takes off with Marlene. And as he falls, he goes to one door that leads him in somehow into outer space, and him in a spacesuit and being chased by werewolves or moon wolves. And he goes to another door where he's on like a movie set now, with Marlene dressed as Little Red Riding Hood, telling him to go do another particular door, as Billy and Bob start coming down like the hallway chasing after him. Then he's in back in New York, where it's like a sleazy part of town, kind of like a red light district kind of situation. He's in his cabbie facade, Jake Lockley, that's his cabbie facade. And then he's still getting chased as Billy and Bob crawls through a sewer, try to grab him, and once again getting upper hand, knocks them away, and goes to a door through a building where he's and it's a nice little transition. I wish I could show you, but it's like the light from the red light district outside is still shimmering on him, on his back as Jake Lockley, and you see like a silhouette of his front side, but his armor is recently inside the room goes white into his Mr. Knight costume. It's like a nice little transition as he steps through from one, because that's what happened with his, is going through one area into space in spacesuit. Then it's like as soon as he passes the next door, it's past he transforms into like a business suit. Then as as he tries to another door from business suit to his cabbie uniform, but it's not a uniform, it's just like cabbie persona, and then through another door from cabbie to Mr. Knight. And I thought that was like cool transitions. It's like and through this whole time you wonder like, okay, what's going on? Because you feel like you're inside his head and you're trying to figure everything out, and you're, I won't say you're probably losing your mind reading this, but it's kind of like you're trying to piece things together. It's kind of like Memento, old Christopher Nolan movie Memento, in a way, when it's like everything's just like all over the place. Not all over the place, but it's just like you're following him along through his journey, like specific, like really specifically. And he runs as he goes through this door in his Mr. Knight costume. He sees like this prison cell, and you seen like the Egyptian I don't know, it's like the deity or just the host of the deity set in a cell, chained up. And he's like, I'm supposed to be coming after you. Why are you chained up right now? Like, ain't you responsible for that, all this mess? And it's like, no. The person responsible is like, you follow upstairs, you'll find out who's responsible for what's going on with you and how I'm in here. And then he goes up stairs, and he sees the Moon Knight character slumping on a chair, still bleeding through the stab wound that Mark gave him. And he asks him like, who are you really? The Moon Knight character takes off his mask, and it's Khonshu. And like Khonshu proceeds to explain to him that well, because like Mark just fuming with anger. It's like, you lied to me. It's like, you told me that it was Seth this whole time, but it wasn't Seth, it was you this whole time. Set everything up, put me in a hospital, my friends, and what happened to them and everything like that. Like, why would you do that? And it's like, well, like he did all this just to put like Mark's body through the test. And it's like he pretty much passed, and he just needs one final thing, which is Mark's body. So that way he can because his body his body he has is not good anymore, and he needs Mark's body to take over so he can be in the real world. But the thing is, as Khonshu explains to him, body's fine, your mind is just broken. You're technically insane. There's no way to sugarcoat it. He proceeds to tell him, Mark, let me take the pain away. I'll steer, and it's like, you don't have to deal with this anymore. And it's like, what else? You just want peace, don't you, Mark? That's all I want for you too. He just want to be born in the world. And Mark just tells him no. And it's like, what do you mean no? And it's like, I won't let you take me. You're not taking my body. And like, Mark just proceeds to just jump off the edge of the pyramid and just pretty much leaps to his death as he remembering his close friends along the way. And he lays down bleeding and dying on the sandy surface, but it's still hard. And then as he wakes up in like a nice little, like, it looks like a hotel suite with Marlene by his side, not knowing like how he even got there and what's going on, but he sees, like, he looks at the window and sees that everything looks okay, and it was a bright sunny day, and just leaves a question mark. The end. And of course there's more that of his adventures after this point. But what I was saying before, it's like, it's hard to gauge how to read this, because I enjoyed these 5 issues for what it was, as far as like a good jumping on point essentially for if you have read Moon Knight and you want to like have like a starting point. This is like a fine place starting point, and then you can read more issues after this. But the whole it's never fully explained how Khonshu exactly put him there in the first place. Uh, uh, maybe in like preceding issues after this, maybe that was more fully developed of an explanation. But he just goes on these all the different adventures, and it's, you know, another like it's probably like a just like because it's like I don't know how many issues, like 200, not 200. Doesn't feel like 200. Yeah, I mean it's uh there's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 issues that you can read after this point. There's more after that, but it's like a gap and lead to another thing. Because you know, because like you know, some comics have like a big gap because like it goes after 14 into 188 and then proceeds into 200, and that's where it stops. But that's completely up to you if you want to read like at least up to like the other issues up to number 14 just to gauge what's happening. But Khonshu does return eventually. But I like this short story. It's kind of like a nice short story, but it's like I don't know, it just feels like I want it more explained, because I know it's like it's going on in his mind. You never know what's real, and that's what I was saying earlier. Is like I don't know if that was like a benefit or a detriment to the story, because some movies have things like this where maybe you are left. It's supposed to be left to your interpretation of how things pan out with Mark during this arc, or at least you fill in your gaps yourself, or it's like I kind of want you to actually fill some things in, like how he got there. Is the people that he dealt with were actually, I like to believe they were actually evil Egyptian gods that he had to deal with, and you know, and Khonshu trapped him in there to deal with all that stuff just to test him. But the way that it ended, it's like, okay, was all that in his head? Because, and especially with the end with the question mark, it's like, okay, because like he's in his business persona at the end, and he's like, you know, Marlene's telling him we got to be on set and blah blah blah, and it's like, okay. I mean, it's hard for me to, because I remember like reading a few issues after this, and it's like I know they still didn't fully explain what transpired during that 5-issue arc. But I'm going to give this an average B. It's because I love the art, and the writing is pretty good, and like it's telling an interesting story. I just wish they like filled certain things in, because they still to this day always you know, kind of like, you know, not bugging me, but it's kind of like I wish they would have explained a little bit more about how he got there in the first place, and like where they, because I like to think, you know, yeah, like I said before, I like to think Khonshu put him there, but I want to know how he did that. He didn't just like, what was Mark doing before this whole event? Like, was he's like doing his cabbie thing or his business thing, and like when he went to bed, Khonshu plucked him, put him into this whole ordeal, or was it all in his head and Khonshu just tricked him into thinking all this stuff? Because like a lot of his friends, like, you know, at least a couple of his friends actually died, you know, from his perspective. But did they really die? Was it all just in his head? Because that's what you get with Moon Knight, because like he is insane. He's like James McAvoy in Split. It's like you can clearly, you know, see that he's insane, but you go on these adventures, it's hard to tell, like, okay, you know, what was real, because we're all in his head looking through his eyes, and it's hard to tell, okay, what is he witnessing? Is it real, or partially real, or none of it was real? That's something I really wish we would have got that covered. But that was Moon Knight issue 1 through 5. Uh, uh, the what the heck they call it? I'm just blanking on the title. The New Egypt. Yeah, New Egypt. What is it? Yeah, Welcome to New Egypt. Yeah. So anyway, leave a comment below if you have read this these few issues before. Tell me what you thought of it, if you remember it. What you think of Moon Knight? Are you looking forward to the Oscar Isaac's Moon Knight? What kind of stuff do you think they would cover? Or, you know, just leave your thoughts in the comments below. I will see you probably next month. I'm going to probably, you know, put out at least a couple more DC that's not Batman. I want to try to get some other stuff in. I'm thinking of like I'm thinking next month at some point doing a Superman Earth 1. Because that's a nice Superman. I want a nice Superman book, and I think that, yeah, that's easily one of my favorite Superman stories. It's kind of Elseworlds a bit, but it's really good, and I love the art and everything like that. So that is next month. So join me later on in, let's say, 30 minutes to an hour while I hop back into some more Fire Emblem Three Houses. We're pretty close to finishing up. I'm surmising, it's not a guarantee, but I'm surmising by the end of next week I will finally have that officially wrapped up, so that way we'll get into some Horizon Zero Dawn, and possibly at the same time, since I won't have anything else to concern myself with playing with after Fire Emblem. Because after Fire Emblem, I'm not going to be playing any Nintendo Switch games for a while, unless that I hear good things out of Pokemon Unite, because that's supposed to be coming out later in July. We'll see how that turns out, and if I hear good things, I'll pop it in. I'm pretty sure we got to purchase it, but I'll get it and stream it and see how it is. Don't know if that's gonna be like a walkthrough necessarily, because I'm thinking it's gonna be like something similar to Mario Party. It's gonna just like a fun little romp. We'll see. But anyway, yeah. Oh, and last week of June, I will be just dedicating that solid week, to be fair, with, you know, singling out days with my Yu-Gi-Oh, like special Yu-Gi-Oh videos for Yu-Gi-Oh Legacy of Duelist. So look forward to that. Once again, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to Talkative Carl on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Follow me on my Patreon if you want to support the channel. That's www.patreon.com/talkativecarl. The link is in the YouTube description. And and thank you all for recently new subscribers. 9 subscribers away from making 100, and once I reach 100, I will do a live stream of a 1 chip challenge. I'll buy the thing, and I will live stream me trying out the chip. I'm a little worried, but that's the goal. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in a little while. Peace.